All right, guys. So let's start learning about web design, websites. All right, so websites are files that users download with their browsers from remote computers. All they are really just files. When a user wants to access a website, they tell the browser where it is located, and the program downloads the website's files, processes the content, and shows it on the screen. Most websites are publicly available, and the internet's a global network. Okay, so they need to be available all the time. So let's kind of just look at something. So if I go here, and let's say I go to any website, www. Just so I'm on a different website. Okay, now I could put something in like this, 216.58.198.100. That is actually the address to a Google server. Okay, and when we think of addresses like our home address, we have an actual address. But if we're talking to our friends, we don't say, meet me, and then we give the address. We say, meet me at my house. Okay, it's the same way as what we're kind of using google.com, and we'll get into it more in a little bit, down the road. But I want you guys to kind of just start thinking about it. Okay, now when we're looking at a website, so let's say we're on Google, and we can break down that. So let's just say I type up cool website. Okay, so I load this. Now the difference between that and Google is that Google has, depending on the website that we're looking at, it has more pieces to it. So here, there's a piece that's missing, but we see it on Google. This HTTPS : and then the 2 slashes, that's a protocol. So that stands for secure. The S stands for secure, and HTTP is just kind of an unsecured. A lot of times when you look at websites, if you don't see that, it's because it's just a normal HTTP. The next piece that you see is this. It's www.dailyedge.ie. And if we looked on Google, it would be the www.google.com. That is the domain. That's the main address that we're going to. And once we get there, then we have to pull information. So when you see something like this, that is actually the name of a file. Okay, and all it's doing is just pulling it up. So when you're building a website, the structure that you're looking at is really going to be more like this. You're going to have a project folder that is going to have your main HTML page that you're going to go to, and all the other pages that you have. You're going to have a folder for your images, you're going to have a folder for your styles, you're going to have a folder for your music, for videos, for scripts, for doing JavaScript. You're going to have a structure, a whole file folder structure for building your website, okay? And the way that we get back and forth from one website to the next is basically the same as us putting that URL in. It's using hyperlinks. If I want to click on something that's clickable, if I look down in the bottom left-hand corner, you see how it says www.dailyedge.ie to foods/news. Okay, it's just a hyperlink going to another page, and I'll show you guys how to set that up. If I go to the Scribble Maps, dailyedge.ie, that's the domain. Scribble Maps, that's like a subdomain. News, that would be like the resource we're pulling up. Okay, so that's really how we're navigating. It's not really complex. It just takes some work on actually building it. Now, we're going to be using a number of languages to get what we want. So let's go ahead and just open the list them out. Now, I opened up, and you guys have it too, Atom. It's a hackable text editor. You can do a lot of stuff with it. We're going to be using it to generate code. When you open it up, you'll end up seeing it like this, with these two in a welcome page. You can open up previous code. We are going to start working with version control so that we have access to what we're typing in our website on these computers, and you guys could access them at home. You guys could teletype with each other. You can change your themes. There's a lot more stuff that you can do with this. It's free, and it does a whole lot more than what Google Docs does, or anything that you guys can use on like Word or anything from Microsoft Office. All right, so let's just kind of start listing what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be learning HTML, and let's make that bigger. And I'm just going to move some stuff out of the way. We're going to be learning HTML. We're going to be learning CSS. We're going to be learning JavaScript. Yeah. Okay. So HTML, that's the first language that we're going to be starting with. And all it is really, it's called Hypertext Markup Language. Okay. And really all that means is that in normal code up to this point, before HTML was created, the only way that you could really do code was linear. You had to do point 1 before you could do point 2. You had to do point 2 before you could do point 3. And HTML really introduced that, you know what? We can go in any order we want. We can hyperlink anything. Okay? So that's what HTML really stands for. Hypertext Markup Language. And that is really what we're using to organize what we see on the page. Okay, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Okay, and Cascading Style Sheets is really more for, so let's write this down, organizing what we see on the page. Cascading Style Sheets is how we see the material on the page. Okay, so this is really putting the content in, and then this is stylizing it. Okay, JavaScript we'll be using to add functionality to it. So yes, we can do HTML and CSS. We can hyperlink and go to different places, but JavaScript allows us to maybe store things. So let's say we ask them their name on our website, and then we hold on to that name. So every time they go to a different place in our website, we're like, hey, Billy, are you sure you want to exit, or would you like to give me your email? And we can add functionality into our website. Okay. Now we will go in more detail on how to build like the file structure and using absolute and relative URLs. But I kind of want to just get you guys coding right away. So if we just start with HTML, what HTML does is it has tags. Okay. And if I write out a tag, so let's just say I call it HTML lang equals en, and I have content there, and then HTML. Okay, what that is basically we start with tags. So we have a beginning and ending tag. So this is what a beginning tag looks like. This is what an ending tag looks like. Almost every tag that you are writing will have a format where you have these carets that are facing left and right surrounding what the tag is. And then your ending tag will have those carets surrounding your end tag. The difference between your beginning tag and your end tag is you have a slash saying, hey, this is the end tag. There is no more of the code relating to that HTML and past it. So I'm telling all the servers and everything to process, hey, this is what this is, and this is the end of it. Okay? Now, inside of our tags, so this is our tags. Okay. Inside of our tags, specifically at the start, we can introduce attributes and values to them. So I could put things like the language, and that is this. I could put a bunch of different types of components of what I want it to be. So maybe it's going to be like that hyperlink that we're going to get into, or it's going to be something else like the width, the height, my attribute. I would just type it and then I can give it a number. So I could say, hey, my width is 300, and that's going to stand for pixels. So inside of that tag, it's going to have a size now because I gave it an attribute and I gave it a value. Equals in code, so HTML is code, is no longer standing for equals. It really means that I'm assigning to. And we assign from right to left. So 300 is getting assigned to the width of this tag. Okay? I'm never going to put attributes in the end tag, the closing tag, because I need it at the start of what I'm trying to do. Okay? So let's go ahead and take that and we're going to run with it. Going back to that document that I had open. Sweet, I closed it. All right. Let's go to File, New. And the first thing that we're going to do is we have to give, with code, is we have to give what is the document type. So this is how we would write it. In caps, doc type, and then we're going to write HTML. This is for HTML5. HTML5 adds a lot of functionality, but we got to make sure that we're doing things in a specific way. So if I'm starting with this is my document. I'm saying, all right, servers, this file is an HTML type document. Okay, and then after that, I need to put in some code. So I'm saying HTML lang equals English. Then I close it with that caret. So that is now my HTML, and I need a closing tag. So let's go ahead and create one. I can't have attributes in a closing tag, and I need to have the slash. So what this is saying is that anything in between this tag and this tag is HTML. Okay, so that's telling the computers the format. So I could spread that out. One of the cool things about HTML is that there is no white space. So whether I have a million spaces here or I have only one, my code will still look the same. Okay, the only way that you can get it to not recognize it, like if you do want to have some white spaces, is you have to put stuff inside of tags for it to show. So we're building a backbone of code. Okay, so we need, when we're thinking of code, we need to have HTML head. And then I'm going to have to close that. So head. And then what else would there be if I'm thinking of like an entire person? So I have a head, I have a body, and everything in my code should really be inside of this. Now, formatting-wise, HTML is the biggest, so to make things easier, you usually indent the code. So I can see, and anybody else can see, that HTML is encapsulating the head and the body. Now, we want to actually print out something, so inside this body, we're going to create another tag, and we're going to make this a heading tag. So it's H1, and we're going to say, hello world. And then we're going to close our tag, so /H1. Okay. Now, this is inside body. That means that body is encapsulating this code. So we are going to indent this. So just hit tab again, and now it's indented. Now, from Atom, we're going to want to save this. So before we do that, I want you guys to go to your H drive. No, I'm doing this with my documents because I'm on my personal computer. But you guys are going to go to your H drive. That's your virtual drive. You will know it's your virtual drive because it has your lunch ID number tagged to it. So if you hit My Computer, you're going to end up seeing it here, and it's going to say H drive or Z drive, and it's going to have your lunch ID tied to it. All right. You're going to go into there, and you're going to create a folder, and you're going to call it Web Design. Okay. Now, it's important that when you are creating stuff in my class and when you're creating websites is that every individual website is its own folder. Everything that you need for that website is in that folder. If you don't do that, everything starts breaking as soon as you try to load it up. So we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this one Hello World, and we're going to play around with this one while we're getting ready to learn our other code. So inside of that folder is where I want to put my stuff. Okay, now when we go back to Atom, if we click File and Save what we just typed, I want to go into that Hello World. My main page that I go to needs to be called index.html. Okay, we're not doing index.html.html. We're calling the file and then giving it a file extension. In some Windows computers, when you're looking at it, you're not going to see what the extension is. To show you what I mean, see, now it's just showing index. I could usually see the type because it's going to say that it's an HTML document. If for some reason you forgot to do that, though, you could right-click that file, you could go to Properties, and you could type it there. So you could type index.html, and it would fix it for you. You go ahead and click OK. All right. So now, once you've done that, you could go ahead and click it, and it's going to load up. Check it out. Hello World. Yeah, we rock. Okay. Now, we could play around with this a little bit more, and we could actually put a title in the heading. So let's go ahead and type title. There's a new tag, and I'm going to say my first HTML page. What? Okay. Title, and then we close it. Okay. My beginning tag, my end tag. A lot of times, if you are having issues in code, you need to start running down and see if you closed your tags out. All right. Now we just have to go to File, go to Save that piece, and then we open up our web page. So in Chrome, we can just go ahead and click refresh. And now, look at that, my first HTML page. That is where a title goes. So that just goes on where the tab is. if I want to add something else. So let's say I just copied that line and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to make an H2. So H1 starts bigger. These are like heading tags. They start bigger. They go from 1 to 6. 6 is the smallest, but they're like titles inside your web page. That's why it's inside of the body. So I now know how to create a website from scratch. Go ahead and save that again. Go back to our web page. We refresh. Look at that. Pretty sweet. Okay, we don't really have any stylized. It's just a blank page, but we got the text there. Okay, so this is what we're going to start building from, using beginning tags and closing tags, using that as our backbone. We have to give the document type. We start with HTML and we start working our way down. We use a head and we use a body. Later we're going to be using footer for our website. So I want you guys to just kind of play around with this, see what it looks like when you have an H6 tag. Try changing the order, see how that does. I want you guys to feel comfortable using the backbone of this code, because a lot of times when you guys are finding issues, you're going to need to be comfortable looking through the code and understanding what each piece does. Okay? All right. Have fun.